So the recording is now happening. I'm also going to share my screen so you can see the presentation. And we will get started. All right, so we'll do a slideshow. Okay.
Okay, and I'm actually going to start. Hi, everyone. I'm Brianna Abbott. I am one of the school counselors, and I work with students in the top part of the alphabet. We're so glad, as Mrs. Mann was just pointing out, we're so glad that you're here. And we're going to be talking today about careers and helping students find the career fit that's going to be right for them. When we start thinking about the future, it is so stressful to students when they hear questions like, what are you going to do after you graduate? Because they are somewhere between 14 and 18 years old on average. And that is a really scary question, and it often creates a lot of anxiety for them. Sometimes that question has been tied directly to, like, oh, am I going to go to college? And if so, what am I going to study? And what do I want to be when I grow up if I do go to college? Because I'm going to have to spend a lot of money to do that. Or maybe I want to take advantage of the fact that there are tons of jobs out there right now. And is this a job that I'm going to enjoy now and long term? Or maybe I want to go into the military, but then there's scary things happening in the world. And so is the military the right fit for me? And so all of those different options, when they have so many different choices and there are so many different opportunities available to them, that creates a lot of pressure and confusion for students as they try to figure out what is it that comes next. Because up until this time in their life, they just know they get up, they go to school every day, they do the things their teachers ask of them, and then eventually they get that cap and gown and get to walk across the stage. But after that, they have so many opportunities, and that can be really a daunting prospect for them. And the reality is, for kids today, so much has changed. On average, at this point in time, people are now having an average of 12 to 15 different jobs in their lifetime. And that's really different than what it used to be. In fact, after, like, for students that do go to college and start working in their first job, on average, they're only in that job for 1 to 1.5 years. So what they're studying isn't always going to matter as much as what those practical skills are going to be. And so we'll talk about that because the job market is changing. And so those opportunities for students are constantly changing. And so really helping kids know and understand that it doesn't have to be like what it was maybe even when we were students, that they might have an idea of that this is what you're going to do and that's going to be your job for forever. Although even for, at least for most of the counselors, perhaps for you all as parents, that hasn't been our experience either. We're not necessarily in the first job that we had when we were leaving college. And so just helping to students to realize that this is a journey and a process, and it's about exploring and finding the things that are going to feel right and be right for them at different phases of their life. A big part of I know Mrs. Mann is trying to get it. There we go. A big part of thinking about jobs and careers is really thinking about how things have changed from the past to the future, and what it will look like in the future. And I really love the reminder that we're not preparing students for our past. We're preparing them for their futures, and their futures are going to look different than our past. You can see how quickly in our world jobs are changing, opportunities are changing. And as a society, we do a terrible job of trying to predict what jobs will be there in 1 or 2 years, let alone 5 years or 10 years. And you see that even with AI, something that was barely known a year ago and is now, everywhere and is a booming industry. And so a lot of emphasis and focus isn't about what job they're going to have, but what skills they will have, because again, those jobs may not exist yet. When we look at trying to help support students with developing career skills, those skills that they have, obviously working a part-time job can be a very straightforward straightforward way to help them to develop skills, the expectations that you might have as you're supporting your son or daughter at home, looking at things like dependability and reliability, their ability to communicate effectively, to articulate the things that they're thinking and feeling, working effectively in a team. So sometimes our kids, encouraging them to be a part of sports or clubs or organizations, volunteer groups, where they're in that team dynamic. Same thing happens in their classroom too, when they have those chances to work in partnership or in teams. And then being adaptable and developing critical thinking skills. All of those skills are being built by what they're doing today, and those are really important to help those students for the future too. A lot of times we'll talk about soft skills in careers. These are really your power skills. These are not just the future, but these are those skills that kids are building now that will help them no matter what career and job they pursue in the future. So whether they go straight into the work world, whether they go to college, whether they go into the military, these are skills that they are adapting today that are power skills because they will apply no matter what job a student is pursuing.
Okay, so a lot of what we want our students to be doing as we think about career fit is exploration. It is really time for our students to begin to learn that there are a lot of things that they can be doing and you guys can be helping them with as their families. So some things that you all can be working on and encouraging to your student is to just help them identify their strengths, skills, and interests. Those are big things to do. Those aren't small concepts. That's something that is going to take some time and some real energy from your students to be able to do. But interest inventories, beginning to identify their passions, really just having an open dialogue with your son or daughter about what is it that they do have interest in? What are some careers that they have thought about? And then really starting to emphasize the connection between education and those careers. Our students really do need to understand that education is the path to this career. And they also need to really understand some of the things that Miss Abbott was saying. This old school way of it's one job, it's one way to get there, that is just no longer. So talking to them about those different education paths, making them aware of something that maybe they didn't even know about is really key. And then helping them to develop those work skills and values. That happens in a lot of simple ways. So by having a part-time job, interviewing for those part-time jobs, volunteering is important. We want them to earn those power skills that Ms. Abbott was talking about as well, with real world experiences that they can have in their lives. Something else to think about, and this is kind of a negative thought, it really isn't for our kids about, let's just follow your dreams. What do you want to be? You can be anything. I love that sentiment, and I'm never going to be a dream crusher for our students, but it is very important that they do identify their skill sets. Where are their strengths? Where are their weaknesses? If math is something that they've really always struggled through, is a science or a STEM field going to be best for them to study in the future? Maybe it is. Maybe they'll find ways around it, but those are the questions they need to begin asking themselves as they seek future opportunities. Next, kind of like I said, career is the destination, but education is the path. We need to manage our expectations as adults in their lives. It's not 100% likely that a high school student is going to be able to pick out what they want to be. That age-old question of what do you want to be when you grow up? It's really, really difficult to answer. I have a kindergartner, and they're about to do a unit about that same very question. What does he want to be? And he's confused. He has no idea. But what I love that they're doing in kindergarten is they're exploring. They're looking at things that kids want to be at that young age. And that's what we really want our students to be doing throughout their education. It's okay for your high schoolers to not know, but the goal really is about narrowing it down to 2 to 4 fields. And we like to use a word like career clusters. Maybe it's not just one thing like I want to be a police officer, but it is something within that cluster of I really like giving back, I really like helping people, I really like investigating. That's more of a cluster that our students are going to begin to narrow down. And once they have that, that research component really comes to light. Next, let's go ahead and just look at what are these steps? What are some things that our students can be enjoying? And this is something that we found that is kind of narrowed down in kind of 5 key steps. So this skill set identification helps students figure out what their skill sets are. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What are some things that they really enjoy doing? Which kind of ties into that interest identification. Help them figure out what they're interested in, why they're interested in it, really starting to ask those deeper questions about why do you like that? Do you see yourself doing that for multiple years? How much money is that going to make you? How much education is that going to require? Then you're going to begin to match those skill set and interests to specific career fields. Where do those intersect? How is that actually something that they're going to be able to obtain in the future? With an understanding of, based on my skill sets, my interests, and me narrowing this focus, maybe I'm not on a 4-year college track. Maybe there's something different I can do to educate myself and prepare myself for the future that I've never even thought of. Kind of breaking down those barriers and the stigmas is something that becomes a part of this process as well. Then they're going to really start, they're going to really start to narrow it down, and then they're going to start to research. Here, what you see is a whole host of things, and this is just a small list of opportunities for our students to begin to investigate themselves. So we have a lot of opportunities for our students to take interest inventories. One of those is something called U-Science that we've seen a lot of our students use here at Kilbourne. They can request a code for this from their school counselors and begin to take different questions and answers that lead them down a path. The same is true of these other resources that you see here. Princeton's Reviews Career Quiz, Career Girls Career Quiz. All of these things are here for you. One that is also linked is Road Trip Nation. That's actually a resource that allows you to look at careers and really highlights. It's not necessarily an interest inventory, but I wanted to just highlight it because as students are exploring and they're wondering, what does it actually mean to be an actuary? I have no idea. Let me look that up. Let me begin my research process. Is that something that interests me? Because I do love numbers. Road Trip Nation is something that could help you with that. Big Future is something through the College Board. Many of your students may have just recently got their PSAT scores back. Big Future could actually lead them to something there. And then we are going to be hosting the ASVAB. That is a career interest battery that is typically or most known for being linked to military service. However, it's a great interest inventory that helps to link kids to careers, and it's a simple check of the box that they don't have any interest in the military. We'll be offering that here on January 12th for our students. If you have any interest in your students sitting for that inventory, we then, after January 12th, will have a recruiter come in, talk nothing about the military and just about the careers, looking in and honing in on those results so that students have something tangible in front of them that help them lead them towards a career path. So that's a great opportunity if you feel like your student isn't going to take advantage of really sitting down and doing these interest inventories. This is kind of a more forceful way to get them to do that, but it will be an opportunity just to really hear some valuable results. The other thing that we talked about is just this idea of dialogue. How do you begin to open up that dialogue with your student about their career fit, about what it is that interests them? These questions are some things that you could actually sit down and do. I know that finding the time to do that, really sitting down with your mindset where they're ready to talk about it. But these are just some leading questions. What are the students' gifts and talents? What do they enjoy learning about? What are their financial goals? Do they really have that in mind? Will they be supporting a family? What is their dream career and how can they get there? And then similar careers that also meet these goals. That's where we talked about the career clusters. Maybe it's just not one goal, but looking at different clusters that actually may be what drives their career and their study at the post-secondary level. And then just some exploration continued. Once they've identified these preferred careers, which does take time, energy, and investment on all of their parts, and you included as their family, but now it's time to really investigate, research, try out experiences, volunteer, job shadow, apprenticeship. That's an old word, but it's really coming back. There's a lot of opportunities for our students to get into career pathways with people that are currently working within that field. It's real, it's out there. Researching it, finding it, making the time for your student to actually engage in it, it can happen. That part-time job really does build those power skills. And then networking. What does it look like if your son or daughter does have interest in just business administration? What does that look like, and how can I find something where they can have like a real day in the life with someone that does live that job? In addition, it's about taking the classes that suit them. DACC is an wonderful opportunity for our juniors and seniors if they have a very specific path or a very specific focus that they can really hone in on that their junior or senior year. Workforce partnerships, we have something with Worthington Industries that we're really getting our students involved with, but there's more than just that one partnership that we would love the opportunity to hook them up with. Career mentorship, electives related to potential areas. I recently attended an AP conference, and AP actually links certain AP classes that they offer with different majors and areas of career focus. That link is here for you. And then also kind of resume building and interview preparation, helping our kids to do that, practicing interview questions, practice building a resume, looking at what those resumes look like now because they look a lot different than they used to. So all of that is something that we really encourage you guys to continue to do and have conversation about.
So there's many ways to get there, right? Insisting that our kids only have one way to obtain a career fit just is no longer the way. College is not always the answer. And as you can see in the picture on this spreadsheet, there's college, there's trade school, there's professional license, military, certification program, apprenticeship, and many more. And sometimes it can be really overwhelming. And also, we're partnering with you, the parents, on working with your student, on having these kind of conversations. Like Mrs. Hemmel said, the open dialogue. We want to be a partner with you and your child. So always starting with the counselors as well. If you're like, listen, I talked to my child, they have no idea. Can you meet with them? Absolutely. This is a part of our job. This is what we're passionate about. We want to help students really determine what their post-secondary plans are. And so please reach out to your student's counselor. We sit down with all of our juniors in February, and not only are we going through what they need for graduation and making sure that they're registered in the courses they need for their senior year, the other part of that meeting is talking about, so what comes after high school? If college is not for you, that is fine, but we have to have a plan. What are you interested in? Here's a U Science code. A lot of the career interest surveys that Mrs. Himmel had discussed, we will also be reiterating that. And we do, I know she had just talked about the ASVAB. We're really excited. We haven't offered it here at Kilbourne in quite a few years. And so I do think that that would be a wonderful tool to get your child thinking about, okay, you got to have some sort of plan. Think of something that you're passionate about. If you pool, 50 people, the happiest ones in their careers are ones that have a passion for what they're doing. And sometimes we don't know what that passion is until we start to explore and really research it. So please utilize the counselors here as we are really happy to sit down with our students and work with them on their post-secondary plans. So what does the future look like for careers? Well, I can assure you the future is bright. It's just a different kind of bright. It's a different way of thinking. Again, a lot of the careers that we had talked about or we knew were available when we were in school, those look different. Technology is, it just is taking off, especially with AI. I mean, a couple of years ago, nobody was really talking about AI, the artificial intelligence, or, all of the different websites and things that help out with AI. That was not even a conversation. When years ago, when I was an elementary counselor, kids would raise their hand if we did a lesson on careers, and they would tell me they want to be a YouTube star or an influencer. And that seems so silly to me. And now with how social media and AI has taken off, those are career paths. Now, is that for everybody? Absolutely not. But I think that if we change our way of thinking, then we will help our students determine a career that's going to be a good fit for them. There are many ways to get to the same goal and the same end. It's just adapting and being flexible to what those look like. So we just threw a lot at you, but some of the key takeaways that we hope you'll get from this presentation is that ultimately students will want to consider what jobs will be a good fit for their skills. And not only their skills, but for their aptitudes as well, what they're naturally good at, right? We want that sweet spot of combining both their skills, their power skills, their soft skills, and their aptitudes. Career development is an ongoing process, and the more you put into it, the more you will get out of it. The more research, the more interest surveys and questionnaires that you do, the more information you're going to get that will help to determine what is the right fit for the student. Adapt and change is key in the process. And our students are moving forward into a world based on the plans they are able to make with the flexibility for the changing work environments of the future. There are careers that are going to be popping up in the next 10 years that we don't know about right now. So that adaptability, flexibility is key, right? Being able to work with a team, being a team player, all are going to be skills that students are utilizing now in the classrooms. They're just going to have to have those be part of their power skills because it is changing at a quick, rapid pace. So that is kind of the end of our presentations. We do offer any questions. If you guys just want to type the questions into the chat, we'll address them with everybody. We put our counselor's website on here, wkhscounselors.com. Tons of information on there. This presentation, along with the recording of the Zoom, will be up there early next week. And we'll also have the form for the ASVAB sign up will be available through our website. So if you're interested in having your child take that. And our next Lunch and Learn session will be Friday, January 19th, 2024. That's crazy. And the topic's going to be graduation requirements. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. And we'll stop share. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat now. We're here to help. And I appreciate you. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just was going to add in. So when Mrs. Mann was just talking about the counselor website, in addition to this presentation being posted onto the front page of the website, in the college and career section, there is additional information about careers, links to the to the different interest inventories that Mrs. Himmel was talking about. U-Science, they do have to get a code from us because otherwise it would cost them money to do that. But we do have some of that information on the website too, so you can also check that out there too. But we do want to answer your questions, so we want to make sure that we're giving you the information that will be helpful to you and your son or daughter as you're looking at things. So if you've got anything that you're thinking of connected to careers, add it in there for us, and we will definitely make sure that we can help you with that information.
And if you don't have any questions right now, if you think about something over the weekend, please feel free to reach out to your child's counselor. We are happy to help assist in any possible way. And really, like I had said earlier, we enjoy a partnership working with our families. Takes a village, right? You're not doing this alone. So we appreciate you guys being here. We want to respect your time. Feel free to hang out. If there are no questions, then you guys enjoy the rest of your Friday. At least the sun's out. I can see from my window.
So that's a great question. So one of the questions came in about what about lab internships with Abbott labs, not with Abbott, Miss Abbott, and that her son had seen something last year. So there is an amazing partnership that our Project Lead the Way pre-engineering program has with Abbott Labs that is a great opportunity for students. It is very competitive, but they get all of that information through the engineering department. So their engineering teachers are going to continue working with the students and get them those opportunities. Those are things that they do like through the summer, and then even in like through the potentially through their school year, but especially into college, that students will often continue with the internship experiences with Abbott Labs. Yeah, we're definitely, as a district, we're definitely trying to be very intentional and focused on how we help kids make those opportunities to different experiences that aren't always what everybody naturally thinks of just, oh, I just go to a four-year college next. And making sure that they know what some of those opportunities are is really important to the district. Any other questions? All right. Well, we don't want to keep you any longer. We hope you have a great weekend. And thanks again for being here today.
Thank you.